options for tonight's 5-game NHL slate that locks at 8 o'clock. We've got some teams in really good spots, some teams in really bad spots, and a couple of mediocre matchups or opportunities to target. The best spot on the slate belongs to Edmonton 1 going up against Arizona, but Edmonton will be without McDavid tonight, which, while that does obviously hinder their offense, it also makes their top line cheaper and gives them power play 1 and top line correlation, which is really appealing. And my first thought is that I'm going to start with the top 3 of Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, and Hyman, and maybe even try to get a fourth in with power play 1 correlation, which would end up being either Evander Kane or Evan Bouchard if I can afford it. And I think I can because the other good spots are largely on the road, which means my first target's going to be line 2, which will save some salary. So if we're looking just at targetability, Edmonton stands out. Then we have Nashville on the road against Chicago. We have Carolina on the road against St. Louis. Calgary on the road against Anaheim. And then Vegas at home against Minnesota is kind of so-so. Let's look at cheap shot blocking defensemen. Again, I'm using MoneyPuck's website, and I'm changing the axes on the graphs. So for shots blocked by opponent and shots blocked by team, try to find some overlap in a game where a team gets their shots blocked a lot, going up against a team that likes to block a lot of shots. We don't have any obvious candidates tonight. We do have Carolina on the slate, who gets their shots blocked more than any team in the league. And Carolina is playing St. Louis. The Blues, they're a way below average. Well, not way below. I guess they're slightly below average shot blocking. But it does mean that it's an above average matchup for them. The problem is the only real shot blocker they have, at least consistent shot blocker, is Colton Parayko. And he's not cheap, so he doesn't make this list. I'm sure that really is devastating to him. So there's no ones for St. Louis that I could target. We also have Chicago and Anaheim in slightly above average shot blocking matchups. Chicago facing Nashville. Anaheim going up against Calgary. We see Nashville gets their shots blocked slightly above average. Calgary gets their shots blocked slightly above average. Chicago and Anaheim both block shots slightly above average. So it's a good matchup for those shot blockers. And crucially, they are relatively affordable. So we're looking at Vlasic or Megna for Chicago, or Zellweger for Anaheim. I believe Vlasic and Zellweger also play on their top defensive pairing, so they're getting 20-plus minutes a night, which is always a boost, especially if we can get him at such a cheap price. So when you consider no McDavid, that takes the price down for Edmonton 1 considerably. They're relatively again, affordable. So you can get all 3 of Nuge, Draisaitl, and Hyman, and then try to squeeze in a fourth is my plan, Kane or Bouchard. Use one of these 3 lines as your secondary stack to save some money, to make sure you can get in that fourth Edmonton skater. Then if you want to go to maybe Vegas 1 or something, you're probably going to have to pick 1 or 2 of these cheap defensemen to make those salaries fit. The nice thing about having some cheap options is that there's really no cheap goalies that stand out as not only not good plays, but even playable plays. The cheap goalies are all in really bad spots tonight where they're just outmatched from a skill and talent standpoint. I guess the cheapest goalie I would consider is Dustin Wolf, as I think Calgary is a slightly better team than Anaheim, but he hasn't been good all season. He hasn't been good recently. That game's close to a 50-50, and at $7,600, I don't think it's worth the risk. I would rather just pay the extra $400 or $500 to get to someone like Thompson or Freddie Anderson, who are probably my 2 favorites, assuming Anderson starts tonight. But over here, I'd be fine with any of these 4, really. They're all likely to win. They're all in good matchups. And they're not the 8,500 high-priced goalies. So that's kind of where I'm targeting tonight. I will have this sheet linked down in the description so you can take a look at it yourself, look at some of the stats, look at the targets for today, If we get any changes in goalies, I'll update it here, and you'll see that affect the targetability rating down below. If there's anything else you would like to see on the sheet, anything that might help you when you're trying to build your DFS lineups, just let me know. And if you'd like me to write out the skaters in each line instead of just writing Edmonton 1, if I put the 3 skaters on Edmonton 1, let me know if that's easier for you, and I'll do that. Alrighty, everyone. Thanks for watching, and good luck tonight.